Tuesday was an exciting day at BHS as students returned to classes for the 21-22 school year. As the buses rolled in, Mrs. Grissom greeted everyone from the rooftop. The day began with an assembly to introduce new teachers. Denise Clark is the new music teacher, Shelby Followell is the new PE teacher, and Drew Jones is the new PAT teacher. Class meetings were held and the school year was underway. The baseball, softball, and cross-country teams have all been busy practicing for their upcoming seasons. Baseball will play their first game tonight at Green City, and softball kicks off their season tomorrow at Milan. Cross-country starts September 7th at Highland. Now that school has been in session for a while, students and others wandering the halls of BHS may have noticed some updates and improvements. Those include a new large screen projector in the gym, new bullpen area at the ball fields, and a new more durable floor in the science room. Both the baseball and softball teams were in action this past week. The Brashear Tiger baseball team played their first game of the season Friday night on the road at Green City. Brashear jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the top of the first, but Green City answered with 3 runs in the bottom of the first. Brashear would go on to score 3 more in the third and 1 in the sixth, but Green City put up a total of 11 runs to Brashear's 6. Jay Snelling had 2 hits for Brashear, with Lane Stutzman and Avery Zentz both having hits. Brandon Jochimson got the start, with Jay Snelling and Carson Irwin pitching in relief. The Brashear Lady Tigers kicked off their fall softball season with a road game at Milan Saturday. Runs were hard to come by, but Brashear scored 1 run in the top of the second, only to have Milan tie the game at 1-1 in the bottom. Brashear scored twice more in the third and held a 3-1 lead until Milan scored 4 in the sixth to claim a 5-4 win. Lacey Fisher had 2 triples and a single. Haley McNamer had a double and a single, with Aubrey Borgmeyer and Sierra Snyder also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer got the start, scattering 2 hits and striking out 11 while allowing no earned runs.
On Tuesday, the BHS cross-country team were competing in their first meet on the season at Highland. It was a successful day as Anthony Shaw took 5th and Alex Houghton placed 7th. The Lady Tigers softball team hosted North Shelby Thursday. The guests got on the board with a run in the first, which is all they would need as they defeated Brashear 5-0. Paige Stutzman had a double and a single for Brashear. Lacey Fisher doubled and Sierra Snyder singled. Alexa Borgmeyer got the start, striking out 18 and scattering 5 hits. The Lady Tigers were supposed to play at Lynn County Friday, but wet field conditions moved the game to Brashear. Brashear took the early lead 1-0 in the first, adding 2 in the third and 6 in the seventh to nail down a 9-0 win. Haley McNamer had 4 hits for Brashear. Aubrey Borgmeyer, Sierra Snyder, and Taylor Garlock hit 2 each, with Lacey Fisher, Alexa Borgmeyer, Paige Stutzman, and Cassidy Altai also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer pitched a complete game shutout, striking out 18 and allowing only one hit. Brashear faced Lynn County Friday. The Mustangs held the lead early for Brashear, but Brashear battled back to tie the game and force extra innings. The Tigers finally prevailed with a 10-7 win in 9 innings. Jay Snelling had 3 hits, including a home run. Jack Reeves and Brandon Jochimson also had 3 hits each. Carson Irwin 2 hits, and Lucas Keller had a hit. Brandon Jochimson got the start, striking out 8 in 4 innings, with Carson Irwin pitching 5 innings of relief and striking out 9. The Tigers were on the road to take on Higbee Tuesday night. Brashear had little luck getting the offense going as Higbee claimed a 9-1 win. Lane Stutzman had 2 hits for Brashear. Jack Reeves got the start with Jay Snelling and John Higgins pitching in relief.
Monday night, the Brashear Elementary held a Tech Night open house and book fair. Parents got to see their students' classrooms and select books for purchase.
Last Saturday, the cross-country team was at one of their biggest meets in Palmyra. Anthony Shaw took 51st place, and Alex Houghton finished 53rd. The Brashear Lady Tigers softball team hosted Meadville Thursday. Brashear spotted Meadville on a run in the second, but got to work producing 2 runs in the third, 2 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth, and 4 in the sixth. To claim an 11-1 win, Aubrey Borgmeyer collected 3 hits, Haley McNamer had 2, and Kinley White, Lacey Fisher, Sierra Snyder, Alexa Borgmeyer, and Paige Stutzman also had hits. Alexa Borgmeyer stuck out 13 for the win. The Brashear Tiger baseball boys were in action Thursday with Meadville. The Tigers got a run in the first and another in the third to a 2-0 lead. Meadville got on the board with a run in the fourth, but Brashear came up big with 4 in the fourth and 5 in the sixth to end the shortened game with an 11-1 win. Brandon Jochimson hit 2 homers and a single for Brashear, with Jay Snelling, Lane Stutzman, Nate Triplett, and Avery Zentz also having hits. Carson Irwin got the start, striking out 9 in 5.2 innings. Jay Snelling pitched in relief. The Lady Tigers softball team played in the Milan tournament Saturday. Their first opponent was Northern, who jumped on the scoreboard with a 4-1 lead in the first and never looked back, taking the 7-1 win. Lacey Fisher had 2 hits, with Aubrey Borgmeyer, Kinley White, Haley McNamer, and Alexa Borgmeyer also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer took the loss, striking out 9. Things went better in the second game with Nominger. Brashear scored 2 runs each of the first 3 innings to claim a 6-2 win. Aubrey Borgmeyer, Kinley White, and Lacey Fisher had 2 hits each, with Mackenzie Baker and Cassidy Altai also having hits. Cassidy Altai pitched, striking out 3. North Shelby was the opponent for the third game of the day. Neither team scored until North Shelby scored single runs in the 6th and 7th to win 2-0. Alexa Borgmeyer had 2 hits, with Aubrey Borgmeyer and Sierra Snyder also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer struck out 15 in the losing effort. The Novinger softball team was in town Tuesday to play the Lady Tigers. Bashir's big surge came on Alexa Borgmeyer's grand slam in the 2nd inning, giving the Lady Tigers a 7-0 lead. Bashir would close out the game with an 11-1 win in 6 innings. Alexa Borgmeyer, Lacey Fisher, Haley McNamara, and Sierra Snyder each had 2 hits, with Aubrey Borgmeyer also having a hit. Alexa Borgmeyer got the start, striking out 12. Bashir hosted Novinger for Baseball Tuesday. After holding Novinger scoreless in the top of the first, Bashir exploded for 8 runs in the bottom of the first on their way to a 12-2 5-inning win. Carson Irwin and Lane Stutzman both homered. Jay Snelling had 3 hits, with John Higgins, Nate Triplett, Brandon Jockinson, Avery Zentz, and Lucas Keller also having hits. Carson Irwin picked up the win, striking out 8. The La Plata softball team was at Bashir Friday. The Lady Tigers got on the scoreboard with a run in the first and held a 1-0 lead until La Plata scored in the 4th. The game remained tied until the 7th, when La Plata scored a pair of runs for a 3-1 win. Sierra Snyder had a pair of hits, with Aubrey Borgmeyer, Haley McNamara, Cassidy Altai, and Mackenzie Baker also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer took the loss, striking out 15. The Tiger baseball team hosted La Plata Friday night. La Plata got on the scoreboard with a run in the first and another in the third. Bashir answered with 4 runs in the bottom of the third to a 4-2 lead. La Plata's scoring wasn't done, and they eventually took the 7-inning game of the score of 14-4. Carson Irwin and Jay Snelling both homered, with Avery Zentz also having a hit. Jay Snelling got the start, with Brandon Jockinson, John Higgins, and Jack Reeves pitching in relief. Aubrey Borgmeyer got things rolling against Knox County Monday with a leadoff home run. In the 4th inning, Knox County got things going with a 3-run inside the park homer to take a 4-2 lead. Bashir added 1 more run in the 4-3 loss. Aubrey Borgmeyer, Alexa Borgmeyer, and Cassidy Altai each had hits. Alexa Borgmeyer got the start, striking out 17. The Lady Tigers were on the road Tuesday at Atlanta. Atlanta made it on the scoreboard with a run in the 2nd and held Bashir scoreless as they went on to a 4-0 win. Alexa Borgmeyer had Bashir's only hit. Borgmeyer took the loss on the mound, striking out 9. Bashir played baseball at Atlanta Tuesday. Atlanta jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first, but Carson Irwin homered in the third to make the score 2-1. After that, Atlanta went on scoring a run that defeated the Tigers 14-1 in 5 innings. All 15 combined runs in the game were driven by home runs. Carson Irwin homered and Jay Snelling had 2 hits. Carson Irwin got the start with Brandon Jockinson pitching in relief. Congratulations to Aubrey Borgmeyer and Alexa Borgmeyer, who recently participated in the Art on the Spot event at Truman State University. Aubrey took second place for live model and Alexa took second place for illustration. A fire drill was held Wednesday morning at BHS. The drill makes sure students know what to do in emergencies and also allowed for testing of newly installed alarm buzzers throughout the building. The Tiger baseball team hosted Grundy County Friday night. Despite a constant light rain, the game was able to be played. Brashear broke open a low-scoring game in the fourth of the grand slam by Brandon Jochimson, taking an 8-1 lead. Then finished the game in the sixth with Lane Stutzman's 3-run walk-off homer giving Brashear an 11-1 win. Stutzman had 2 homers, Brandon Jochimson had a homer and a double, Carson Irwin had a double and a single, and Avery Zentz, Lucas Keller, and Anthony Shaw also had hits. Jay Snelling went the distance on the mound, striking out 5. Buckland-Macon County visited the Lady Tigers Tuesday. Brashear put runs on the board almost every inning of their 10-0 6-inning win. Aubrey Borgmeyer, Lacey Fisher, Sierra Snyder, Paige Stutzman, Haley McNamer, Cassidy Alteid, and Taylor Garlock all had hits for Brashear. Alexa Borgmeyer got the start, striking out 7, with Cassidy Alteid striking out 2 in relief. After Tuesday's softball game with BMC, the Lady Tigers held senior night ceremonies to honor our senior players, Sierra Snyder and Kinley White. After being introduced to the crowd with their parents, they both received gifts from their teammates. The Tigers came out strong in their Tuesday baseball game with BMC. Brashear pushed across 8 runs in the first as the team hit for the cycle, including 3 home runs. The game also ended on a home run to make the score 15-2 in 5 innings. Lane Stutzman had 3 homers for Brashear, and Brandon Jochimson and Carson Irwin also homing. John Higgins, Jake Holcomb, Lucas Keller, Anthony Shaw, and Jay Snelling also had hits. Brandon Jochimson got the win, striking out 9. The Lady Tigers softball team played a makeup game at Green City Wednesday. Brashear managed to score a run in the 3rd and another in the 6th to claim a 2-1 win. Haley McNamer and Sierra Snyder had 2 hits each, with Alexa Borgmeyer also had a hit. Alexa Borgmeyer picked up the win, striking out 12. Our first Renaissance breakfast was held today to honor the accomplishments of our students. Students need to have good attendance, good academics, and good deportment to be eligible. On Wednesday, the sophomores climbed onto the bus for a field trip to Kansas City. The trip was to visit the traveling exhibit on Auschwitz, which documents the events of the Holocaust. The Lady Tigers were in Bevere Friday for the last conference softball game. Brashear jumped on the scoreboard with 2 in the first and 2 in the second to claim a 4-0 lead. The Lady Tigers would then score 7 more runs in the last 3 innings to win by a score of 11-0. Kinley White and Mackenzie Baker had 3 hits each. Alexa Borgmeyer, Haley McNamer, and Lacey Fisher had 2 hits, with Aubrey Borgmeyer, Sierra Snyder, Cassidy Altide, and Paige Stutzman also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer picked up the win, striking out 19. The Tigers were at Revere Friday for their last varsity game of the fall season. Bashir jumped out to a 7-0 lead after 1 inning and never looked back in their 18-3 5-inning win. Carson Irwin had 3 hits. Jay Snellings, Lane Stutzman, Jack Reeves, and John Higgins each had 2 hits, with Brandon Jockinson, Anthony Shaw, Avery Zentz, and Lucas Keller also having hits. Carson Irwin went the distance on the mound, striking out 5. Bashir took on South Shelby in the first round of the La Plata softball tournament Saturday. South Shelby took a 4-0 lead after 1 inning and led the whole way in a 5-2 win. Haley McNamara, Lacey Fisher, and Cassidy Altide had hits for Bashir. Alexa Borgmeyer took the loss, striking out 9. New Franklin was the second opponent of the day for Bashir at the La Plata tournament. Bashir fell behind 1-0 after 1 inning, but New Franklin had big innings with 4 in the 3rd and 10 runs in the 6th to win by a score of 16-1. Aubrey Borgmeyer, Lacey Fisher, Lana Van Sickle, and Kinley Wright all had hits. Cassidy Altide took the loss, striking out 7. The Lady Tigers played Trenton in their 3rd game of the La Plata softball tournament. Bashir and Trenton each scored 2 runs in the 3rd, but Trenton tailed 4 more runs in the 4th to claim a 6-2 win. Paige Stutzman had 2 hits for Bashir, with Aubrey Borgmeyer, Lacey Fisher, and Kinley White also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer took the loss, striking out 11. The Tiger cross country team were in Warrenton for Meet Friday. Alex Houghton placed 35th, and Landon Fisher came in 40th. On Tuesday, 59 BHS FBLA members and their sponsors traveled to Trenton to do a campus visit at NCMC. While there, the group got to see classrooms, the library, dorm rooms, the cafeteria, as well as the college farm facilities. The Lady Tigers hosted Green City for the last home game of the season Thursday night. Bashir scored a run in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, and 4 in the 3rd as they went to a 10-2 win. Aubrey Borgmeyer and Lacey Fisher had 3 hits each, with Borgmeyer hitting a leadoff homer in the 1st. Sierra Snyder had 2 hits, and Lana Van Sickle, Kinley White, and Cassidy Altide also had hits. Alexa Borgmeyer picked up the win, striking out 14. The Bashir JV baseball team hosted Green City Thursday. Bashir couldn't get the offense jump started as Green City claimed a 4-inning 14-0 win. Jack Reeves and Jake Holcomb had hits for Bashir. Reeves took the mound for Bashir, striking out 8. Bashir finished their regular softball season on the road Friday at Marion County. The Lady Tigers jumped out to a 2-0 lead after the 1st inning and continued to lead the whole way into a 3-1 win. Haley McNamara and Kinley White each had 3 hits, Aubrey Borgmeyer and Lacey Fisher had 2 hits each, with Sierra Snyder, Mackenzie Baker, Cassidy Altai, and Paige Stutzman also having hits. Alexa Borgmeyer struck out 13 on the mound. On Wednesday night, the Brashear chapter of FBLA held the Murder Mystery Night, where students dress in period costumes to portray their assigned characters. The evening began with games, and after the meal, the group got to work solving the murder. On Thursday, student council members were out monitoring cars as they entered the parking lots and handing out candy as a reminder to think safety when you drive. This is part of the statewide Buckle Up, Phone Down campaign. The Salisbury Cross Country Meet was held Monday. Alex Houghton came in 36th. The Lady Tigers faced Schuyler County in the Class 1 District 10 softball tournament Friday. Alexa Borgmeyer hit a first-inning solo home run to put Brashear ahead 1-0, but Schuyler scored twice in the bottom of the first to lead 2-1. Brashear got additional scoring in the third and fifth innings, including a Kinley White homer to take a 5-4 lead. But Schuyler scored single runs in the 6th and 7th innings to claim a 6-5 win. Sierra Snyder and Lana Van Sickle had 2 hits each. Alexa Borgmeyer and Kinley White both homered, and Aubrey Borgmeyer, Lacey Fisher, and Haley McNamara also had hits. Alexa Borgmeyer got the start, striking out 16. The Lady Tigers junior high basketball team got off to a fast start in their season opener at Atlanta Tuesday. Brashear jumped out to a 9-0 lead after one quarter and never looked back as they cruised to a 31-11 win. Heidi Lay scored 16, Maddie Moots scored 9, Marissa McMahon scored 6. Brashear fell behind early in their season opener at Atlanta Tuesday. By the end of the third quarter, Atlanta had built a 22-point lead, but the Tigers railed late to close the gap to 49-35. Cole Irwin had 27 points, Caleb Grissom had 4, Noah Shannon had 2, Caden Taylor had 2. This week has been Red Ribbon Week at BHS. On Tuesday, Novinger High School invited our students to join them at an assembly to see guest speaker Kara Filler. Miss Filler, who lost her twin sister in a tragic car accident, spoke on the topic of making good decisions. The cross-country team was at Bowling Green Friday, where Alex Houghton took 113th and Anthony Shaw took 156th place. Districts are coming up this week. Congratulations to the following students in their All-District and All-Conference honors. First team All-District is Alexa Borgmeyer, Aubrey Borgmeyer, Haley McNamer, and Sierra Snyder. Second team All-District is Kenley White and Lacey Fisher. First team Softball All-Conference is Alexa Borgmeyer and Haley McNamer. Second team Softball All-Conference is Lacey Fisher and Aubrey Borgmeyer. First team Baseball All-Conference is Carson Irwin. Second team Baseball All-Conference is Jace Snelling. Way to go, Tigers. The junior high Lady Tigers basketball team played their first home game Friday as they hosted Green City. Green City dialed up the defensive pressure early, leading to some easy baskets and keeping Brashear off the scoreboard. By halftime, Brashear tailed 26-5 and couldn't close the gap in the second half as they fell 43-7. Heidi Lay scored 7. Brashear hosted Green City in the home opener of the junior high season. Green City's press made it difficult for the Tigers while allowing the Gophers to build a 37-12 halftime lead. The Tiger offense continued to sputter in the second half, and Green City claimed a 53-16 victory. Cole Irwin scored 8, John Higgins scored 4, Caleb Grissom scored 2, and Caden Taylor scored 2. The Lady Tigers junior high basketball team was at Revere Tuesday. Brashear took an early 4-0 lead, but Revere used the 14-point second quarter to take a 20-6 lead into halftime. Revere stayed hot in the third quarter and went on to claim a 30-13 lead. Heidi Lay scored 5, Maddie Moots scored 4, Kaylee Sizemore scored 2, and Lily Boone scored 2. The junior high basketball Tigers played at Revere Tuesday. Brashear jumped out to an early 15-3 lead after one quarter and never looked back as they went on to defeat Revere by a score of 47-29. Cole Irwin scored 25, John Higgins scored 10, Caleb Grissom scored 8, Noah Shannon scored 2, and Caden Taylor scored 2. Our 6th grade class has been studying Egypt and have constructed a museum on Egyptian artifacts as part of their studies. Last Friday, they invited other classes to bring their flashlights and tour the museum in the dark. The annual Halloween parade was held Friday afternoon in the gym. Everyone from elementary to high school students was showing off their best costumes. Even several of the faculty members took part dressing up for the holiday. The junior high Lady Tigers were at Marion County Thursday. Points were hard to come by for both teams as Brashear trailed by a 10-9 score at halftime. The Lady Tigers held Marion County scoreless in the third and eventually pulled ahead for a 22-17 win. Heidi Lay scored 7, Kaylee Sizemore scored 6, Marissa McMahon scored 4, Maddie Moots scored 2, Ava Salter scored 2, and Andy Shaw scored 2. After jumping out to a 5-0 to open Thursday's game at Marion County, Brashear fell behind and trailed 19-18 at halftime. Marion County surged ahead again in the second half, but the Tigers were able to pull ahead in the fourth and win 35-32. Colt Irwin scored 26, Caleb Grissom scored 6, John Higgins scored 2, and Caden Taylor scored 1. Tuesday night, the Lady Tigers traveled to Novinger for junior high basketball. Novinger used a smothering defense to hold Bashir scoreless in the first quarter and had built a 20-3 lead by halftime. Bashir had their best quarter in the fourth, scoring 7 points, but they came up short in a 39-11 loss. Heidi Lay scored 5, Kaylee Sizemore scored 3, Maddie Moots scored 2, and Marissa McMahon scored 1. The Bashir Junior High Tigers were at Novinger Tuesday. Bashir trailed 13-12 after one quarter but lost momentum, and Novinger held a 29-15 lead at halftime. The teams played evenly the second half, with Novinger taking the 51-37 win. Colt Irwin scored 13, Caleb Grissom scored 13, and John Higgins scored 11.
BHS held their annual Veterans Day Assembly Thursday afternoon to honor the veterans in our community that have faithfully served their country. Ralph Capelli was the guest speaker for the day, and students performed musical numbers along with displaying artwork. A reception was held in the cafeteria after the ceremonies. The Brashear Lady Tigers and Lynn County Lady Mustangs played a hard-fought game Thursday. The score was tied at 6-all after one quarter, with Lynn County holding a 14-12 lead at halftime. Brashear finally pulled ahead in the fourth, but the score was once again tied with 1 minute left in the game. Lynn County managed to score in that last minute, and Brashear fell by a score of 29-26. Heidi Lay scored 11 points for Brashear, Maddie Moots had 7, Kaylee Sizemore had 5, Lily Boone had 2, and Andy Shaw had 1 point. In the boys' game, the Tigers jumped out to a quick 10-2 lead after one quarter, and despite several Lynn County runs, maintained a comfortable lead for most of the game. Lynn County closed the gap to 3 points near the end, but Brashear held on for a 33-28 win. Cole Irwin scored 24 points for Brashear, Caleb Grissom had 7, and Keegan Moots had 2. The Meadville girls got off to a quick start Friday evening, scoring 16 points in the first quarter and leaving Brashear trailing 20-2 at halftime. Brashear's scoring improved in the second half, but it wasn't enough to save the Lady Tigers from suffering a 29-19 defeat. Heidi Lay scored 14 points, Maddie Moots had 3, and Kaylee Sizemore had 2 points. In the boys' game Friday, Meadville held slim leads in each of the first 3 quarters before Brashear reeled off 15 points in the fourth for a 34-26 come-from-behind win. Cole Irwin had 16 points, Caleb Grissom had 9, John Higgins had 7, and Noah Shannon had 2 points. The Brashear Junior High girls faced Novinger in the first round of the Atlanta tournament. Novinger jumped out to an 18-4 first quarter lead and were up by a score of 23-9 by halftime. Brashear had their best offensive results as they scored 8 points in the fourth, but they fell short of a win by a score of 44-19. Heidi Lay had 12 points for Brashear, Maddie Moots had 6, and Kaylee Sizemore scored 1 point. Our junior high boys faced Lynn County in their opening round of the Atlanta tournament Monday. The Tigers got off to a quick start and ran the score to 24-2 by halftime, limiting Lynn County to a pair of free throws. Things turned around in the second half as Lynn County pulled within 3, but Brashear held on for a 37-31 win. John Higgins had 17 points for Brashear, Cole Irwin scored 12, Caleb Grissom had 8, and Noah Shannon scored 2 points.
On Wednesday, Corporal Justin Dunn of the Missouri State Highway Patrol was at BHS to present an assembly on the dangers of vaping. Corporal Dunn also emphasized the importance of making good decisions. The Brashear Junior High girls faced Atlanta in the consolation semifinals of the Atlanta tournament Wednesday. Atlanta got off to a quick start and led 16-9 by halftime. Brashear began the rally after the half, and by the end of the third quarter were only down 22-21. The Lady Tigers held Atlanta to a single point in the fourth quarter as they claimed to come from behind win by a score of 27-23. Heidi Lay scored 18, Maddie Moots scored 5, Kaylee Sizemore scored 2, and Marissa McMahon scored 2. The Brashear Junior High boys faced Green City in the championship semifinals Thursday at the Atlanta tournament. Green City got off to a 24-4 start by the end of the first quarter and were never threatened as they defeated Brashear 61-24. Cole Irwin scored 17, Caleb Grissom scored 5, John Higgins scored 1, and Caden Taylor scored 1. The Brashear Junior High girls played Lynn County for consolation at the Atlanta tournament Friday. Brashear jumped out early and were up 17-8 by halftime. Lynn County fought back in the second half, but Brashear hung on for the 24-22 win. Heidi Lay scored 16, Marissa McMahon scored 4, Maddie Moots scored 2, and Andy Shaw scored 2. The Brashear Junior High boys faced Atlanta in the third-place game for the Atlanta tournament Saturday. Atlanta led 21-11 after one quarter, but Brashear pulled within 25-20 at the halftime. Atlanta came out strong in the second half, and Brashear went down to defeat by a score of 62-38. Cole Irwin scored 19. Caleb Grissom scored 10, John Higgins scored 5, Noah Shannon scored 2, and Caden Taylor scored 2. The Lady Tigers were on the road at La Plata Monday. La Plata took charge of the game early and led 30-0 at halftime. Brashear finally got on the scoreboard in the third quarter but went down to defeat 53-2. Maddie Moots scored 2. The Tigers were on the road Monday at La Plata. La Plata took a 21-14 lead into halftime, but Brashear battled back in the second half and held a lead in the fourth quarter, only to have regulation end in a 41-41 tie. La Plata outscored Brashear in overtime to claim a 45-43 win. Cole Irwin scored 24, Caleb Grissom scored 10, John Higgins scored 7, and Caden Taylor scored 2. Recently, groups of BHS have been active helping in community service projects. Last Thursday, the Student Council was in Kirksville to assist in serving the community Thanksgiving dinner at Sheraton Valley, and the South Club did a variety of service activities Monday, including helping at the food pantry, Human Society, Operation Christmas Child, and others. The Brashear Lady Tigers kicked off the basketball season Friday night with Schuyler County. Schuyler County went to the basket early and often as they ran the score to 56-9 at halftime. Brashear had their best quarter in the third, but were buried too deep to make a comeback and fell by a final score of 78-22. Lacey Fisher scored 12, Alexa Borgmeyer scored 6, Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 2, Kinley White scored 1, and Paige Stutzman scored 1. The Brashear Tigers kicked off their varsity basketball season Friday night as they hosted Schuyler County. Schuyler took the early lead and were up 15-9 after one quarter and 26-23 at halftime. Brashear came out strong after the intermission and had taken a 39-37 lead by the end of the third quarter. The Tigers held off Schuyler, going 7 for 11 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter to claim a 55-48 win. Carson Irwin scored 19, Brandon Jockinson scored 18, Jack Reed scored 7, Lucas Keller scored 6, and Landon Fisher scored 5. Several updates are being made at BHS. Outdated heating and air conditioning units in the elementary building and in the gym area are being replaced with new high-efficiency units. Also, new high-efficiency LED lights have been installed in the gym along with new cooling fans. Most of these updates are being paid for by COVID-19 funding. Last Wednesday, students from BES got to learn about the world of rodeo competition. During the morning, groups went from station to station learning about events like bull riding, team sorting, pole bending, roping, goat tying, as well as getting to see working stock dogs. During the afternoon, a mock rodeo was held in the gym with students getting to compete in a variety of events. The Brashear Tigers faced Grundy County in the Novinger tournament Monday. Grundy County scored the first 2 buckets of the game, but Brashear battled back to a 13-10 lead after the first quarter and 18-20 at halftime. The Tigers extended their lead to 42-29 after the third quarter and fought off a late rally by Grundy to win 53-43. Brandon Jockinson scored 23, Lucas Keller scored 12, Carson Irwin scored 9, Jack Reeves scored 4, Landon Fisher scored 2, Adrian Mason scored 2, and Alex Houghton scored 1. The Brashear Lady Tigers played their first round game of the Novinger tournament with the Macon JV team Tuesday. Macon took the lead early and were up 26-14 by halftime. Brashear started to close the gap in the third and had pulled within 1 point of a couple of minutes left in the game. Although Brashear was within 1 point with under a minute, their comeback fell short as Macon took the 39-35 win. Kinley White scored 11, Lana Van Sickle scored 6, Paige Stutzman scored 6, Lacey Fisher scored 4, Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 2, and Alexa Borgmeyer scored 2. Last Saturday, the BHS junior class sponsored our annual craft show. Over 30 vendors had displays of items for sale in our high school gym. Proceeds from the show will help the junior class put on prom. The Brashear Lady Tigers faced Madison Wednesday in the consolation semifinals at the Novinger tournament. Brashear jumped out to an 18-10 lead at halftime and never let up as they went on to claim a 44-21 win. Alexa Borgmeyer scored 12, Lacey Fisher scored 10, Kinley White scored 8, Paige Stutzman scored 8, and Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 6. Brashear faced Green City Thursday in the championship semifinals of the Novinger tournament. Green City came out with a tough defense and some hot shooting and took a 49-23 lead by halftime. Brashear never could cut into Green City's lead in the second half as Green City advanced to the title game with a 76-41 win. Brandon Jochimson scored 10, Lucas Keller scored 9, Carson Irwin scored 9, Landon Fisher scored 5, Alex Houghton scored 4, Jack Reeves scored 3, and Dayton White scored 1. The Brashear Lady Tigers faced Kirksville Jawad in the consolation game at the Novinger tournament Friday. Brashear took an early 10-6 lead after one quarter and expanded it to 18-8 by halftime. Brashear continued to handle Kirksville's defensive pressure and pulled away with a 44-20 win. Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 11, Kinley White scored 10, Lacey Fisher scored 9, Paige Stutzman scored 6, Alexa Borgmeyer scored 5, Bevan March scored 2, and Cassidy Altide scored 1. Brashear took on host Novinger in the third-place game of the Novinger tournament Saturday. Novinger held an 18-17 lead after one quarter and opened up to a 31-26 lead by halftime. Despite making some runs in the second half, Brashear fell short by a score of 66-57 and finishing fourth in the tournament. Brandon Jochimson scored 19, Carson Irwin scored 17, Lucas Keller scored 7, Dayton White scored 5, Landon Fisher scored 5, and Jack Reeves scored 4. The Brashear girls were on the road at Lynn County Tuesday night. Lynn County got off to a quick start and had a 17-4 lead after the first quarter of play. Brashear closed the gap to 21-12 by halftime. Both teams made small runs in the second half, but the margin never changed much as Brashear fell to Lynn County by a final score of 47-37. Alexa Borgmeyer scored 11, Lacey Fisher scored 10, Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 5, Paige Stutzman scored 5, Cassidy Altide scored 4, and Kinley White scored 2. The Brashear boys took on Lynn County on the road Tuesday night. The game was very close in the early going, but Lynn County got hot in the second quarter and took a 29-22 lead into halftime. Brashear caught fire in the second half and held a 10-point lead with 3.5 minutes left in the game. Lynn County rallied to tie the game with under 10 seconds left, but Brashear got the ball down the court for a bucket and a free throw to claim a 61-58 win. Brandon Jochimson scored 19, Carson Irwin scored 19, Lucas Keller scored 10, Jack Reeves scored 9, Avery Zent scored 2, and Landon Fisher scored 2. On Thursday night, the Bashir School Music Department, under the direction of Denise Clark, held their annual Christmas concert featuring vocal and instrumental performances by elementary and high school groups. On Friday, the Shout Club met in the library to prepare gift bags for their Christmas service project. The group then headed out to visit senior housing in Bashir, Edina, La Plata, and Kirksville, to go caroling and deliver the gift bags to the senior housing residents. The Bashir girls took on a tough Meadville team Friday night. Meadville jumped out to a quick 20-7 lead after one quarter and were ahead 39-17 by halftime. The Lady Tigers continued to struggle offensively in the second half and took the loss by a score of 55-27. Kinley White scored 8, Paige Stutzman scored 7, Cassidy Altide scored 4, Taylor Garlock scored 4, Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 2, and Lacey Fisher scored 2. The Bashir Tiger basketball team was at Meadville Friday. The game was a defensive battle as Bashir took a 12-4 lead after one quarter and a 22-15 lead at halftime. The second half saw Meadville make some small runs, but the Tigers held on for a 41-32 win. Brandon Jochimson scored 11, Carson Irwin scored 11, Jack Reeves scored 7, Avery Zent scored 6, Lucas Keller scored 4, and Landon Fisher scored 2. The La Plata girls basketball team visited Bashir Tuesday. Bashir couldn't match La Plata's hot shooting and tough defense and fell behind 39-13 by halftime. The Lady Tigers put up 19 points in the second half, but it wasn't enough to keep pace at La Plata claimed a 66-32 victory. Lacey Fisher scored 14, Alexa Borgmeyer scored 6, Kinley White scored 3, Paige Stutzman scored 2, Taylor Garlick scored 2, Bevan Marks scored 2, Cassidy Altide scored 2, and Aubrey Borgmeyer scored 1. The Bashir boys hosted La Plata Tuesday night. The game was hotly contested in the early going, with La Plata holding a 15-11 lead after one quarter. Bashir came out alive in the second quarter and took a 31-22 lead into halftime. The Tigers continued to dominate in the second half, extending their lead to 28 points at one time and coasted to a 71-63 win. Brandon Jochimson scored 22, Carson Irwin scored 20, Jack Reeves scored 13, Lucas Keller scored 7, Dayton White scored 4, Avery Zent scored 3, and Landon Fisher scored 2.
The Tigers were on the road at Atlanta Friday night. The Bashir girls took an early lead and were up 10-7 after the first quarter, but Atlanta tied the game 23-23 at halftime. Atlanta managed to build a 10-point lead in the third, and a fourth quarter Bashir rally fell short, giving Atlanta a 49-45 win. Lacey Fisher scored 16 for Bashir, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 10, Alexa Borgmeyer had 7, Paige Stutzman had 5, Cassidy Altide had 4, and Kinley White scored 3 points. In the boys' game, the Tigers played tough in the first quarter and led 21-20 at the end of that frame. Atlanta got hot in the second quarter and by halftime were leading 54-34. Atlanta continued their dominance in the second half and pulled away for a 93-63 win. Brandon Jochimson scored 22 points for Brashear. Carson Irwin had 21. Jack Reeves had 8. Lucas Keller had 4. Avery Zentz had 4. Landon Fisher had 2. And Dayton White scored 2 points.